Now, originally, this was going to be a review of Chrono Crusade, but then I realized I still don't really know how I feel about Chrono Crusade because it's kind of has its moments. So instead I wanted to do this short review on an anime that I just finished a little while ago that I really enjoyed. It is a 12-episode anime series called Another that aired from January to March of 2012, and it's based on a novel by Yukito Ayatsuji. I believe that's how it's pronounced. And the story is basically, back in 1972, there was this popular student named Misaki who died halfway through the year at Yomomiya Middle School, class 3-3. And in a somewhat creepy way to kind of deal with the grief, the students and the teachers decided to carry on the entire year as if Misaki had still been alive. And so they kept the desk in the classroom and brought it to the graduation ceremony. But however, when they took the graduation photo, Misaki was present in the photo, and while the face was pale and it looked kind of messed up a little bit, and there was a pained expression on the face, that person was in the photo. And please to reiterate, they were all pretending that this was going on. So now, in 1998, this new guy, and forgive me for this, Kōichi Sakakibara? Kōichi arrives at Yomomiya, and he's transferred into class 3-3. However, he is in the hospital when the school year begins because there's something wrong with his lungs, and he gets visited by some of his classmates who kind of act really strange around him. And then that same day, he meets this girl from his same school, because they all wear uniforms, who has an eye patch, and her name is Mei Misaki. And she is going to the morgue, so obviously he's intrigued by that, which was weird. I don't understand why. Ooh, I see a girl going to the morgue. I gotta go get me that ass. I'd stay away from that. But anyway, so Kōichi, he gets better and he goes to the new school. But everyone's kind of very evasive, and they kind of all respond very oddly to him. And he's kind of taken aback by how they all seem to ignore Mei. And when he looks around the school, the class, which is 3-3, is kept away from other classes. They have gym in a completely different area from everybody else. So it's completely isolated, like it's its own kind of microcosm. And so he's talking to Mei, and people are kind of like trying to, it's kind of like they all want to share something with him, but they're all kind of apprehensive of how to talk about it. And things kind of take a turn for the worse when one of his classmates slips while running and impales herself with an umbrella through the throat. And that was quite gruesome because it was a really long shot of it going like first here and then slowly her head just jerking down on the umbrella. Very creepy. And so after that, yes, I killed a bug. Anyway, so after this, Kōichi becomes aware that there is a curse on the class of 3-3. And so the story from this point on deals with him and Mei and some of his other friends dealing with the curse, understanding what the fuck it is, how to stop it, and trying to figure out who is the extra person in their class. Now, I don't want to spoil anything for you because I feel like that would be kind of, considering this is a horror thriller anime, spoiling stuff for you would ruin the entertainment of the show. And so let me just talk about how I feel like the story came about. So the first 10 episodes of this anime are this slow building thriller that relies more on creating tension than having a lot of gore. But there is gore, and there are some really gory payoffs with the scenes. Like I said, the umbrella thing is extremely creepy, and there are other scenes that are equally disturbing, but it's not about that. It's about really the apprehension of things happening. There's this one episode where it's supposed to be the lighthearted episode, but the entire time you're waiting for something bad to happen, and the entire cast themselves as characters are all waiting for something to happen because they all are aware that they can all die at any point. And it's not just them. To just talk about one aspect of the curse is that it's not just the students who can die. It's anyone related to the classroom, which includes teachers, assistant faculty, within 2 degrees of separation, which means that their siblings, their parents, are all susceptible to this curse. So there is this huge fear that everyone is feeling throughout the entire show. And I think that is what really makes this show so good in the first 10 episodes. Because it's like, it reminds me of how much I loved Halloween. Because it's like, there's deaths and it's bad, but it's also this constant tension, and you're going towards it, and you're trying to find like that piece. That's something I love. That's why I love horror and thrillers, because of that feeling, and I got that again. And while the first episode was kind of slow, and I really didn't understand what I was getting into, by 2 on, I finished this show in like within 2 days, because I just wanted to get through it because it was so good. And also, with a series where anyone could die, there's this constant lingering in your stomach about like who's gonna happen to and whatever. And on a side note, they also have Kōichi and Mei, who kind of have this relationship kind of thing, and they're growing attached to each other. It's like it's both interesting and annoying. Like it wasn't as good as like Steins Gate, which was the last anime that this production company had that was kind of weird. I feel like while they have chemistry, I don't really understand why Kōichi is so interested in Mei as a character. I mean, she's mysterious, but like, so she's mysterious hot girl, is that what it is? But she's not even, like, she's pretty, she's cute, but she's not hot or anything. Like, I never really understood why he felt something for her. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you're supposed to feel like it's totally romantic or if it's just, platonic, but it feels like it lingers more towards romance than a platonic relationship. But, the thing is, like, as the mystery unfolds, it does become a little convoluted, but at the same time, it makes enough sense that doesn't really want to make your hair rip out, because it's kind of like everything that they say, while it's kind of silly, it does make sense. It's not like a plot hole. It's more like, this is how we have to make this curse happen. We have to make this make sense. So they wrote the rules so that it would match the theme of the show, and that works until the last 2 episodes. Episodes 11 and 12 make me want to scream at all the stupidity I was seeing everywhere. Like, no one acts logically. It's a lot of plot-induced stupidity that I really have no patience for. It was like watching a bad horror movie where, like, the girl is running down the street and she trips and she falls. She's kind of like, what the fuck? That was how I felt the entire last 2 episodes. Things just did not make sense happening. Thankfully, the final payoff about discovering who the extra was actually satisfying for me. So that kind of saved the show for me. But at the same time, what I loved about the show for so many episodes was how it was more tension than gore. Then it just got all types of blood-sea. And blood-sea was horrible when it came to that. It was just pointless gore at that point that I was kind of like, you really did a disservice to the last 10 episodes of that series. But then, of course, the final ending sort of made me happier, although I don't know how it really makes sense, but I did enjoy it enough that I was okay with the changes that were made, with the creative decisions that were made with them. So overall, I enjoyed this series, and I formed an attachment to some of the cast, but most importantly, I cared about the leads. I didn't want them to die, which I think is the big thing in this kind of show. I didn't want them to die. I wanted the people who were involved with the main plot to live. And so that really drove me through. And the curse was interesting to me the whole time, because the curse in itself is kind of a character because of how they explain how it kind of works. The curse is not evil, nor is it good. It just simply is. It exists because it exists. It doesn't try to hurt people on purpose, but it's like a force of nature, as one of the people describes it eventually. It simply does what it does. And so I thought it was really interesting to have a curse that's not treated like, oh my god, it's horrible. They still have to stop it. They still have to get rid of it. But at the same time, it's not, what it's doing necessarily isn't horrible except for the deaths. The deaths is what makes the curse bad, but the curse itself is essentially not anything really bad. So if you're a fan of a really good thriller, I think this is a good choice. The last 2 episodes are really give and take. Like, you can either enjoy them, you can either think they're horrible, or you can accept them. Right now I accept them, but I think they're horrible. So much blood-sea. Blood-sea was a horrible show. Did I tell you about blood-sea? Like, how bad it was? I know I said in the beginning, oh, it might have been good. That was some bullshit. I don't even want to talk about it in a whole review. Just don't watch blood-sea. So overall, I think that if you like thrillers, if you like kind of horror shows, if you like that kind of stuff, this is definitely a good one. It reminded me of why I love horror as a genre and what it can do when you give it the time. And I think, like, at the same time, I will also forgive it, because I know they were doing a lot of stuff. Like, the novel itself is about, like, 600 something pages, and they were condensing all that into 12 episodes. And I feel like they did a good job overall. I felt like they told the story they had to tell in overall the best way they could. And even the last 2 episodes kind of dropped the ball a little bit. At the end, I felt satisfied with how it ended. It didn't leave me feeling, like, really super frustrated, except when bad stuff was actually happening that was stupid. So that was a good plus for me. I say check out Another. It's a really fun show. If you hate it, I'm sorry. But I think it's enjoyable if you like that genre.